Woke up this morning, crazy morning. It's Thursday. Wherever you're tapping in, welcome to the live stream. This will be live stream one of two. I'm also going to be uploading my breakdown on our playlist fight predictions of Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman. I just uploaded last night on that same playlist my breakdown of Raymond Ford and Abraham Nova. So if you haven't seen that, watch it. There's a lot of new subscribers who just watched the live streams. I got multiple messages last night about, hey, Johnny, I watched the live streams. Could you do video breakdowns of the fights that are short? And I'm like, dude, that's exactly what I do. I just also do live streams. So as you guys are checking in, Chris Morales, my guy, Sydney, let's do this. I got a lot of new, there's so much to talk about. I was a couple minutes late doing the live stream because I'm on the phone getting text message, people in America, there's new fights. You guys have to check your betting apps because, I'm down here in Sydney, Australia. I woke up with double the options of fights this weekend. I still don't have the main events for the Pro Box card, but there's a card in China tomorrow between Kanzu and Belmonte. Kanzu is a highly world-ranked fighter, at least in China. The odds are great. He's fighting a French fighter. We know about French boxers, and I think there's some value there. So we could talk about that. I'm going to do the film study. That fight actually goes down tomorrow. So if you guys could get the Kanzu fight, Canxu, I want to know what your odds are getting on that. Also, insider information. This is the time of the week where we all get, you know, if you guys are members on Gary from 3D Boxing, if you guys follow Tony, Paulie, and because I've been recently linked up with those guys, Malinaji, and his partner's name slips my mind, but we're cross pollinating, which is great. Our communities, and so there's some fighters on some cards on that Pro Box card where people are sending me messages saying this guy is a lock, this guy's a lock. So if you guys are getting options to bet on any of the valleys, VALLE, I'm interested in what your odds are. And moving forward, we got a lot to talk about. As you guys are checking in, yo, what's up, my guy? Boxing fan in the house, Skeezy Perth in the house. Guys, let's get in the habit of when you're checking in, also like. So hit that thumbs up. So you're checking in. What's up, Johnny? Boom. Hit the thumbs up. Let's do it. That's how we grow the channel. The blue stars are rolling in. Boys, join the Discord. As you guys on this live stream see the guys and the members with the blue stars, they are Johnny Says Boxing Insiders. That is a VIP membership on YouTube. It's a couple bucks a month. It gets you more access on YouTube, but more importantly, you get access to our Discord. That Discord is golden because in that Discord, you get professional bettors. Chilltown Boxing's in there. Muscles is in there. A lot of the boys in here. There's some pro boxers in there. You know, Mike Tyler TV's in there. So it's growing. We started the Discord probably a month ago, and it's evolving. And we have that Discord broken up into MMA and boxing. And today I'm going to be giving you my long parlay as well. I'm going to also give you my locks. And if you're just a subscriber on YouTube, pay attention to the YouTube channel interface. I'm going to be giving you my YouTube parlay as well. So here we go. Boxing fan, Adu, let's do this. Knockdown props, Itama White. Yeah. Right now with let's check in, Adu. I'll get to that in a second. We'll get our real specifics because I do have a method of victory parlay already live. DJ Green in the house. Look at those. Look at DJ Green. So the stars, the longer you become members, the stars change colors. History Vault, E-word sucks. Yeah, dude, I mean, History Vault, I know you know what you're doing. I should probably address what you're talking about. We sprinkled some action on yesterday's Dana White Contender Series fights. That's MMA. That's just like for the MMA fans. I gave you guys a parlay, 2 out of 4. These are contenders. These are prospects. So don't put too much money. And if you don't have it, don't bet on the prospects. And don't have too high expectations. That was more or less a fun, entertaining bet to kind of just watch something on TV. You never know what's going to happen with these prospects. You know, the kid from Australia, you know, maybe you give him 2 more rounds, he probably gets it done. But yeah, these prospects, it's tough to bet on. You know, when in doubt, don't bet on MMA prospects. They're not even in the UFC yet. Excuse me, guys. I'm still fighting a cold. Joey, you think Hrgovic wins by knockout? Watching all the tape, mate, Hrgovic, I'm very comfortable with him getting the victory. Like I said, if I'm going to get sexy, I'll get to that in a bit, looking at the odds of the knockout. James Drummond, what's up? Morning. Looking forward to your locks later. Yeah. So Drummond, that's the key, mate. If you've been losing because, you know, 1 or 2 are losing, James, what I suggest is just get on the winning track this week. Don't get greedy. Rather than doing an 8-legger, do a 4-legger. And you know, don't have the mindset of I need to get rich on this ticket. So like it's paying $1.81, you know what I mean, and $100 only gets you $81 back, and then we throw in that extra bet that'll double it, and then one loses. So I would refocus, James, your strategy on betting. Your whole mindset this weekend, bro, is to get a victory. Whether it's a 2-leg lock, a 3-leg lock, just get a victory, mate, because that creates momentum. I'm a big fan of that. It's like, you know, I'm coaching young athletes, and, you know, during the season, you know, you're on a little bit of a losing streak. What's the best thing to do? Get a small win, find your small victories, create momentum. There's that famous scene in the 90s movie Major League about my hometown baseball team, the Cleveland Indians, and they're in the locker room, and the coach comes in, he goes, all right, boys, that's 2 in a row. If we get one tomorrow, that's 3. If we win one more, that's called a winning streak. So that sort of thing. What's up, Brandon? Boxing fan, there is money. James Drummond, got to keep it simple. Yes, sir. Rando Light in the house, my other phone, but I'm here. Sub Johnny. Rando Beast, John Smith. One more round. Boxing fan, uppercut that cold. Yeah, I've been working on it. The cold's just been lingering. So like I said, boxing fan, I sound a lot worse than I feel. I feel 100%. History fault, it's not your fault. Nearly everyone's. Yeah, man, that was tough. Yeah, let's turn the page on the Contender Series. One of the boys, though, in the Discord hit $2,000. See, if you're in the Discord, one of the boys won. He bet 1,000 to win 2,000, and he stayed away from that bet. So kudos to him. Don Julio, UFC 319 tricky. Yeah, I tend to stay away from the UFC main events, the pay-per-view cards, because of the matchups are always so great. I want to talk about Raymond Ford real quick. I want to know your thoughts, guys, on Raymond Ford versus Abraham Nova, where you guys have your money coming in at, and I'll tell you what I like. Tip your bartender, right? That's the best quote. So here we go. Yeah, there's my book. I know Skeezy's from Perth. I know I think James Drummond might be Aussie. If you're using sports bet, they just opened up even right now more fights. I just watched the WBC Grand Prix. Damn, there's some good contenders. Yeah, so Drummond is probably Aussie. Dylan Biggs, man, we've seen Biggs fight before. Didn't Dylan Biggs mix it up with I think Dylan fought Nikita, didn't he? Early days? Yeah, yo, I really like Ford. Okay. Yeah, yo, let's talk about it. So right now, Ford is $1.13 on the money line, meaning $100 on Ray. You get your money back plus 13. He is one of my locks. So I have a 4-leg money line lock parlay that's, you know, it's not too saucy, 2-1. But, you know, for the big hitters, even 1,000 on that gets you your money back plus another 1,000. And then you could do your denominations from there. Yeah, okay, Drummond's from Bathurst. Awesome, man. The Bathurst, the race. Drummond, I once, what's his name? One of the first interviews I ever did, I had a podcast. I started my first podcast in 2016 in Australia. It was called the Vision Board Podcast. And one of my first interviews was a race car driver who won the Bathurst. I can't think of his name. Blonde-haired kid. He ended up marrying a reality TV star. Nice dude. But appreciate you tapping in. Bathurst is a cool little town. Muscle Brown 3-leg advice yesterday was smart. All right, so Raymond Ford Raymond Ford, guys, right now by decision is $1.87, which, if you like Raymond Ford and you're playing statistics and you're playing, you know, patterns, doesn't have one punch knockout power, doesn't stop guys. Abraham Nova's the bigger guy. You know what I mean? This is going to be Ray's third fight at 130. Nova, 5'9", orthodox fighter, bigger guy. I could see it going the distance. So on a separate, but then again, there's an argument to be made that Nova isn't motivated. People are spreading, when I'm getting insider information from, people in New York, from people in Texas, from people in Boston, all about the same fighter, I pay attention. So they're all saying that Abraham Nova is coming in for a cash grab. We know he's a late replacement. We know it was supposed to be Anthony Kakachi. It's one of these things. What I've been told is that the dude's not training hard, not sparring hard. He's putting his hand up. And you hear all these things and you watch his last 7 fights. He's 3-3-1 in his last 7. And you would think that like Abraham Nova is like 38 years old. He's only 31 years old, meaning that the durability is still there. I mean, who was it? It's not like he goes in there and gets starched. I could definitely see it going decision, especially with Raymond Ford, not really a guy who's known to sit down on his shots, but we'll see. So we got Daniel Vega for, so Vega, $1.89 for to go the distance. I love it. Boxing fan, Sky Nicholson. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of beautiful, optically beautiful fighters in women's boxing. Australia has a few of them. Like I said, I used to manage one. Hey, boxing fan, check out Lynn Sandstrom. So Lynn, she went viral a couple of years ago for her weigh-ins. She was Brazilian born, but raised in Sweden and lives in Sydney and trains with Tony Del Vecchio at Bondi Boxing Club. I managed her for 2 fights. She, very pretty young lady as well. I see Ford going the distance, high interest. Let's get paid, high interest. That's what I'm talking. Let's get our interest high, brother. Cloud, appreciate you. Love the gold trophy. Cloud too. Guys, when you're tapping in, let's like the video. You see what Cloud giving that gold trophy? Let's do it. Willy Wonka under 1.5. Willie, what's that paying? Under 1.5 knockdowns is a great bet. Knockdown markets. To be knocked down. Will both fighters be knocked down? Total knockdowns. Under 1.5. See, my knockdown market isn't giving me the under. It's only giving me 1+. So they're trying to play me. What's up, Buzzler? Appreciate you in here. James Sherman Boxman. Check out Sugar Neeks. Yeah, Australia, beautiful women. I met my girlfriend in Australia. We've been together 8 years. She's the love of my life. So I'm a bit biased. Adu, still undecided the over for under Tuama. Adu, what it's going to come down to is, this is from the decision-making process with this fight and any fight moving forward, Adu, you have to ask yourself, are you putting the fight in question, obviously, Ituama, the over and under, are you going to be putting that on a parlay? Is it a one-off really heavy bet? Is it kind of just a little sprinkle? And then you have to then decipher what odds, categorize the odds in terms of risk versus reward. So like, let's check that. Undecided the over and under. Because I know, Adu, in our Discord, a lot of the boys are talking about under 4.5. Right? And the most frustrating thing about calling the fights is when you pick the outcome correctly and you pick the method of victory correctly, but maybe you get too greedy on, maybe he stops him, but he stops him in the 7th. But you went heavy on under 4.5. And you got it right because he won by stoppage, but you lose your bet. So these are all sort of things and patterns that over time, I think it's wise to always, our goal always should be to win. And that sounds sort of rudimentary. Win, not necessarily money, but our goal with our pick should always be, our first and foremost, win. Not getting rich or being greedy. Meaning that if you already pick, Ituama, in my opinion, is a lock to win, $1.09, okay? Then that's us winning. How greedy do I want to be? I think him by stoppage is $1.22. Him by decision is over $3 plus money. And then when you're starting to get sort of, fancy and under 4.5, over 4.5, or trying to pick rounds, it just gets tougher. So that's a decision that you're gonna have to make. Cloud, forward money line or late knockout. I could see that happening too. So Cloud, once again, it depends on how much money you're playing with Cloud too, how much you want to put down on that. I have forward on the money line on one parlay as my locks I'm going to give away. I also have forward by method of victory on a separate parlay to increase the odds. It just depends what you like. If you're listening to the insider info, I could see then take forward by stoppage, because that's what people are saying. Robesi starts him, yeah. Next gen, Robesi hasn't. Nova hasn't looked the same since that Robesi fight, and then we know what happened in Robesi, dude. In stepped Rafa. I think Rafa was a 4-1 dog against Robesi in that first fight, and then they fought again, and Rafa showed the world who he is. What a great fighter Espinosa is, mate. He's one of my favorite fighters in all of boxing. And Robesi Ramirez is a dog, man. What a great fighter he is. He's been shelved. I mean, rumors are saying that he's done. We'll see what happens. Vega, Australian girls are generally attractive. I think women, Vega, I think women are attractive. Australia has their beautiful women too. Friday night fights too. No, are you guys getting, there's a fight card in China. So that fight card goes down tomorrow. Can Zhu, the fighter's first name is Can, last name XU, fighting a French fighter. So the French fighter is coming to Canada, or the French fighter is coming to China, slight underdog. I'm taking Can Zhu. Boxing fan, I told you. Willy Wonka minus 245, under 1.5. That's nice odds. I wish I had those odds. I'm not getting even an option on Sportsbet to pick. Yeah, the Pro Box card is our Saturday, I think. America's Friday. The Valley Brothers. So I've been getting messages about insider information. People have been sharing voice memos with me. Everybody is saying that Paulie Malignaggi has been sparring with both Valley Brothers. He's also been saying that both Valley Brothers are really tough, and both Valley Brothers are going to get the victory. Now, I'm not betting on Gary Antonio Russell. I'm not saying Antonio is going to lose. I just don't like the value there. But if you were to take Dominic Valley, and rumor is Dominic Valley is going to win by stoppage, but I'm not getting options. This is insider information, right? This is the insider info I was telling you about. Paulie's been sparring with both Dominic and Marcus Valley. Dominic on the money line's $1.09. Marcus is $1.27. Paulie says it's a foregone conclusion that Dominic is going to knock out his opponent. So if you could get the stoppage, take Valley by stoppage, add his brother Marcus at $1.27, and you already got some nice odds there. Yeah, I really like Moses versus White over 4.5 at 125. Reminds me of Bruce. Yeah. I took Bruce at plus 600 to win a decision and hit on that. That was my biggest win a couple weeks ago, was Carrington by decision at plus 600. So when you say, and Yayo, to support the over in any context, we know that Moses has only gone 6 rounds once. I think that was in his third pro fight. And since then, he hasn't left the second round. We know this is a 12-rounder. We know Dillian White's 3 losses. In all 3, he was stopped. So I feel the safest bet of Moses versus Dillian. Will the fight go the distance? No. Getting sexier, I love Moses on the money line. He's one of my locks. And then Moses by stoppage. So these are 3 options. And then once again, you could dissect those 3 options and get as cute as you want to pump up your odds if you want to start going overs. Money Meech, Big Meech, Larry Hoover, live from the office. Appreciate you, mate. Where's that office at? Kiza B, 4 knockout ball. I love it. 4 knockout, ball knockout, Ituama. So Kiza, all of those could happen. The only one I would probably disagree on, I mean, they're all risky, especially Ford and Ball to win by knockout based on, how they operate. But You're gonna get some good odds there. Yeah, Rafa was 7-1 dog. Amazing fight. Paulie gonna get bashed up again in bare knuckle. Yeah, I don't want to see Paulie fight again. I would never trust Paulie's word. Uh, actually, historically, I would disagree. It's at least when I get it from his mouth. Like if I'm getting the word from his mouth and not somebody else, Paulie knows his shit, mate. Paulie, great boxing mind, great boxer too. Super high fight IQ. Yeah, so I actually trust his word. So maybe you know something I don't. Maybe it's a personal thing, but Malignaggi, he's not gonna. At least the source I get it from, Paulie's not gonna give knowledge to the source that I get it from and be off. Usually when he speaks or shares with the source, he's gonna be pretty spot on, or else he wouldn't send a message. You know what I'm saying? And he's not sending it directly to me. I'm getting it from another source that he's getting it from. But I'm getting the voice memo. What's up, Boston Mikey? Kiza, I really rate Ford. More aggressive lately. Yep. Sitting on his punches more. I agree. I just don't, Sam Goodman's tougher than we think. Obviously I have Nick Ball winning that fight. I think Sam Goodman's good enough to not get stopped. So look at the odds of Nick Ball either by stoppage and then weigh your options. I like Nick Ball by decision, but we'll see. Money Meach. EV in the house. He also speaks from a betting perspective. Yeah. So EV 44 ounce is referring to Paulie Malignaggi. And the info I'm getting isn't from their show. So it's not like it's from his YouTube that he does with, what's his name, Anthony, I think, or Tony. This is separate. It's either Hall 9 to 12 or points, but I think he gets him late. Ball. So let's see what we're looking at. You think he gets him late? I don't know, man. I know Sam Goodman. I know his character. I know his willingness. My issue with Ball stopping Goodman is just simply that Ball doesn't have one punch knockout power. Sammy is tough as nails, and he knows how to box. So even if Ball is up on the cards and Ball is using that volume and pressuring Sam, I think Sam then is going to go to a different level and say, hey mate, I'm going to just survive. Y'all listen, join the Discord. Tell Johnny. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Cloud, too, mate. I love comments like that. Everybody eats here. Yeah, we all eat. Sal, what's up, Johnny? Need some boxing? Back in our life. We're back, Sal's Blog Talk. We're back, baby. You think Goodman got any power to keep him off? You know what, Kiza? So when I was siding with Sam last week to win, because last week I was going to pick Sam by upset. And it's the lack of power that made me flip-flop. Now, you don't need power. Because Goodman lacks power doesn't mean he's going to get stopped. He has a good jab. He's taller. He's longer. He has decent enough feet. And he knows how to operate. He's a smooth boxer. He's a slick boxer. So it's not that the lack of power is going to get him stopped. I think it's his good jab and his movement and his balance that's going to allow him to survive. So that's my reasoning. Dwayne Styles just got off work, taking my mom to the Men at Work concert. Nice. Toto, happy Wednesday, fam. Dwayne's always seeing concerts, man. Nice. I love live music. Pedro Cabrales, Omar Trinidad. Yep, Trinidad seems to be a lock. I'm not getting Trinidad as options right now, but Trinidad's going to win that fight. I was at the county fair yesterday and saw a kangaroo. Dude, they have a kangaroo at a county fair? That's insane. But Dwayne, are you in Puerto Rico? Or are you in America? We get people from all over the world. TJ in the house. Finally made it to a live. Chill Town. We got some behind-the-scenes stuff cooking. Appreciate you, TJ, tapping in. James Drummond. My heart's way too involved to make a decision on Ball versus Goodman. I want Sam to win. Yeah. James Drummond, my dad always said, Johnny, bet with your wallet, never with your heart. And Sam's a smooth operator. I think Sam is good enough to not get stopped. I do. So I'm, on the money line, I love Nick Ball for the value, but Nick Ball by decision too. I know there's going to be pushback on that narrative. It's been kind of a hot take that, Goodman gets cut, which actually happened in training. Never was truly an issue. He did get cut against Caesar Vaca, but it wasn't an issue. And where he was, the bad cut in the NUA camp did happen here, which is a horrible spot because it goes both ways. So it's something to think about. Ball up big on the cards, Sammy having a cut and then them stopping it. That could be a play as well. But these are the decisions why we roll the dice. I do like ball by decision though. Virginia, VA baby, believe that. Yeah, yo, John, if you like ball by decision, does the fight go over 10.5 at 125? Yeah. Yeah. I don't make my money with the over 10.5 rounds. I make my money on the money lines, and then lately, as of late, the method of victories, the decision or the stoppage based on the matchup. And boys, think about the draw. The last 3 weeks in boxing, we've seen it time and time again. We saw it with the Jorge Chavez and Gucci Flores fight. We saw it Pacquiao and Barrios. We saw it in Japan. So the draw is something if you want to sprinkle. I've learned just as much from you guys than you guys probably learned from me over time. Is the fact it never hurts to hedge your bets on a draw. Skeezy. Yeah, so when in doubt, stay away from it. Because I want Sammy to win too, but I run this channel and you boys come here to fully expect my picks not to be a fanboy pick. So I'll be going for Goodman to win, but I'm betting on Nick Ball. This happens all the time, unfortunately. But that's the one thing you guys will at least know, that when I'm giving you my picks, I'm not going to give you a pick based on because I like the fighter. I hope I hope Goodman wins, but my money's going to be on Nick Ball. Dwayne Styles, 45 minutes from D.C. Pedro, I think the safest bet for Ball versus Goodman is over 10.5. The safest bet. So you say the safest bet for Ball versus Goodman is over 10.5. Safer than Ball on the money line, Buzzler? Pedro, remember listening to him in middle school, Mixtape Logic. Oh, Mixtape Logic was dope. Flexecution? Dude, come on now. Mixtape Logic. Flexecution was my jam. And then 44 bars. And then 44 more. Yeah, Mixtape Logic was a different beast. He kind of lost me when he started doing, he got real fancy and then had like Neil deGrasse Tyson doing his intro. I was like, I'm out. I had to get out. But Flexecution, man, when the Flexecution dropped in like 2013, I was like, damn, this is dope. That Flexecution. Didn't he pull out 2 times from cuts? He got cut 2 times in training. Yeah. 1.5 knockdowns, that's what paying 2 to 1. Over 1.5 knockdowns. And Adu, even the 1.5 knockdown prop bet at 2 to 1 looks tempting, but these are heavyweights, Then you have to take into consideration a knockdown is only a knockdown if there's a count. You know what I'm saying? Let's say there's a flurry and the fight's called off or somebody quits on the stool. Think about Justice versus Fabio. That quick ass count, doesn't let him get up. 1 knockdown. So there's obviously risk there as well. The history of all has nothing to do with Parlay. Has a box. Parlay's crazy takes. I don't need it. Yeah. Of course. History of all. My point was with even bringing Parlay up was the fact that I'm generally not going to take a fighter at $1.03. But when he's talking about, he just was sparring this guy and he's going to win by knockout. And then he talks about other insider information regarding certain matchups that kind of have nothing, he has no horse in the game. I listen. Damn, the chat's going wild. There's TJ. My issues with the overs, the cuts, Ball leads with his head. Yep, there you go. And this is an issue, 100%. DJ's hit 3 draws. I know TJ hit dude, still to this day, TJ betting heavy on the draw with Pacquiao and Barrios and hitting is insane. For me, that's insane. Yeah, guys, get the likes up. Goat in the house. People still expect to see Drewski's picture with Goat, but Goat, I think, is that Arturo Gotti? I can't see. Boxing fans, show the love. Let's get the likes up, boys. Come on. Lorton, what's good, DJ? Damn, son, where'd you find this? Big Capo, what's good, Brody? Everyone's tapping in. I can't open my betting apps in Japan. Got to send my bros some money to play something. Skeezy, you're in Japan? Oh, you're about to fight, aren't you, Skeezy? You're about to. Oh no, you're not. Because there's another young fighter from Australia, Kane, who sends me messages on Instagram. He's getting ready for a fight September 6th. I got to give Kane a shout out. You got props. You like Philip versus David? Yeah, Philip Hergovich, we'll get it done. Dead Presidents 3, walk on by. All I do is Dead Presidents 3, walk on by. All I do, you would love those. Yeah. Buzzler says, I think in case Goodman is smooth enough to box ball up, keep the distance on him. If he wins the decision, then it's the over hits. My issue with the same reasoning I think that the fight goes is that, I could see Goodman lasting, barring cuts. Goodman lasting to me has nothing to do with a cut. It has everything to do with him not getting stopped. At the same time, the power scenario comes into play with not having enough power to get the respect from Ball. And then, Ball has that awkward, choppy, flurry style, wants to put his head on your chest, crosses his feet. He does so many things unorthodox. He wants to make it a dirty fight. Sammy wants to keep it clean and smooth from the outside. It's also hard for me to bet against Nick Ball's constant pressure, that marauding front foot style. It's just a lot to deal with, especially if you're a guy who doesn't have pop. DJ, all you need is 50 to 100 on a draw. It's usually around. Yep. Rayo de la Santo, greetings from Spain. Nice. Do you think Ford will win by knockout? I have doubts about Nick Ball. I think he'll go there. Yeah. So, look, Raymond Ford to win by knockout, that's going to be a gamble anyway. It's his third fight at 130. Granted, Thomas Matisse in his last fight ran the entire time. Thomas Matisse didn't give the fans, didn't give himself, didn't give Ford the fight he thought he was going to give. Because when you look at Matisse's knockout to win ratio, it's really high. Longer guy for the division, and he just didn't want to exchange with Ray Ford. And, it was you could see him getting frustrated in there. Will Abraham Nova do the same? Rumor is Nova is going to be there to get hit. Nova's a big guy, 5'9", at 130 pounds, is a decent size for the division. He also has, knockouts historically. The thing with Nova, his last 7, 3-3-1, really never, like we talked about earlier, been the same guy since the Robesi Ramirez fight. How much intention is Nova going in there with? Right now, I have Ford as one of my locks. It just depends on how sexy do you want to get. Damn, people from Japan, Spain. Yeah, I know, and I'm from Australia. I'm from Sydney. I mean, I'm from America, but, I'm living in Sydney. Ryo. DJ Green, he does lean on his head a lot. DJ Green says, Nick Ball usually doesn't respect his opponents. He goes straight to you. True. And with that in mind, and what TJ just said, there's the headbutts happen. We've seen Nick Ball punch his opponent's thighs before. Like, he'll punch you in your leg. I've seen Nick Ball shoot for a double leg in a fight before. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's going to just come down to, as bettors, boy, how sexy do we want to get? Pay attention to the Discord, because in the Discord, TJ has had some interesting takes on the work this weekend. Muscle sent me his 3-leg lock. Muscle's going super heavy on his 3 legs. I will share that in our Discord, and that's another 100% the biggest reason to join our Discord. The Johnny Says boxing, because these boys knows what they're talking about. Bruce Lee, Nick Ball is hella dirty. I didn't want to say it. Rando, appreciate you. James says, time to get the kids up and get ready for work. All right, Drummond, be good, brother. Be safe taking the kids to school, too. Bruce Lee, Nick Ball is hella dirty. Yeah, Ball kicked to TJ. Yeah, Nick Ball low kicked him. Like we were in Muay Thai. He had his guards here, and he's snapping at the leg. Nick Ball is an awkward cat to fight. Ball does some goofy shit. Ryo, thank you, brother. Now I will translate your answer into Spanish. even though I'm learning English. So my Spanish sucks, but uh, I'm not even gonna try it here. Me llamo Giovanni, come te llamo? Rayo de la Santa Liga. Mi familia vive in Ohio. Unitas. My Spanish sucks. I could order beer at a bar. I could say, what city do you live in? Can I, puedo tener una más cerveza, por favor? ¿Dónde está su ciudad? ¿Qué ciudad du vive? So my Spanish is terrible. Muy horrible. But I lived in LA for 7 years, and I took Spanish in high school for 4 years. So un poquito. The Essentials, Mark Vasquez. What's up, buddy? All right, we're 36 minutes in, guys. We got 50. We're floating between 50 and 70 people in the live. Let's like this. The Discord's been popping. We got a lot more action. Chivo, hi. Yeah, the locks for Friday. Chivo, I'm putting in the Discord today. So I'm putting the locks today. Are you guys getting the action on China? Is anybody going to play with I like that, Boxy, man. You think I have one cat in my pants. You have a cat in your pants? Yo tengo un gato en mis pantalones. What about French? Nah. Solamente inglés, español, mijo. And check you need yeah, dude, what do you have a cat in your pants, man? There's a fight tomorrow in China. I'm being baited in to take this fight, guys, only because it's a French fight. There's a Frenchman, and we know that we don't bet on the French. Did you watch? Mark, I didn't watch the WBC tournament. I was in bed, mate. That's the Grand Prix. There's some Aussies in that tournament actually doing pretty well. There's a kid who fought Nikita Zhu who keeps winning. Tyler, I'm sure you could tell me. I forget his name, not Higbee. That was from Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence. Blue Streak, yeah. Dude, Martin Lawrence was the man. He went from being in the 90s, Martin was in everything. Bonjour, vous allez bien. I wish I could speak French. At one time in my life, for some reason, when I was a kid, I wanted to, like, how empowering would that be to speak every language? I think that's the move. Dylan Biggs, there it is. To be able to speak every language would be the most, biggest flex in the world. Language, word is power. French is one of them. My mother's native tongue is Italian. My dad was Slovakian. I wish I spoke all languages. Does Ford need a knockout, though, for the viral moment? See, Cloud, now we're talking. I think he could do it. Also, am I tripping on White? Seems too humble, like he knows. White doesn't look good to me, boys. I think White gets stopped. I do. And I think people are overthinking this fight. Now, granted, a lot of the old heads like myself and guys older, they're going to be hesitant on a 20-year-old heavyweight. It's not in our nature to jump on the bandwagon so quick. So there is sort of rightful hesitation with, I am not ordaining Moses Itama by no means as the next Mike Tyson. That's not what I'm doing. But I think we're overthinking it a bit in terms of who he's fighting. Dude, Dillian White, I mean, he's going to be slower. He's not going to be as durable. His reflexes, we'll see about his punch resistance. I love that pick by stoppage. It just, what round, right? Win. Martin Lawrence went to my high school back in the day. Yeah, I've seen Martin Lawrence. You could tell. I actually just saw Martin Lawrence. There's that video of him shadowboxing. You could tell Martin Lawrence knows how to crack. Basically, when you watch somebody hit pads or punch a heavy bag or shadow, you could tell in their movements if they know what they're doing. Martin Lawrence got hands. I didn't know he was a Golden Glove boxer, but it all makes sense. Boxing fan. Boxing fans getting wild. I can also speak in tongue. I bet you can. Mike Ross, Moses looks special. Yeah, he does. We need, and then do you guys who are picking Moses to win by stoppage, who are saying under 4.5 or over, some people are saying he needs to get the rounds. Now, I'll push back on that. When you're in the heavyweight division, you're not playing with your food. There's no way that Moses is going into this fight like, I'm going to just play around with Dylan until I can't, and then I'm going to stop him when I want to. That's not what he's going to do. That's a lunacy mindset in any division in boxing. The last thing you ever want to do is, give a guy confidence. The later the fight goes, the more confident Dillian's going to be. So I fully expect the game plan for Moses is to be able to, you don't get paid for how long you box. You get paid the same. You know what I'm saying? I fully expect him to go in there and do what he does and get him out of there. EV44, DM seems to be in his fields with facing reality. Yeah, he shouldn't be picked another guy. Fight rather a young lion. Hats off to him, though, EV, for fighting him. When I was growing up, there was a famous horse in the country called Johnny Be Good. Yeah, there was a 1950 song, too. They always use the name Johnny is in everything, in songs. It's like that branded American white boy name. But my birth certificate's Jonathan. And, teachers and my mom calls me John. And my dad would call me Jack. And then my coaches would call me Johnny. So, and then my best friends growing up would just call me by, in American, they just call me by my last name, Stavko. Don't give no ideas of Martin coming for the belt. Mar the Prince, salute. You think Hrgovic Adelaide over 8.5? Yeah, I love that bet, Mar the Prince. I think that fight over 8.5 is good money, minus 135. That's good value. Remember, boys, when we're picking method of victories, though, one of the boys said earlier on the chat that he needed to get a victory. So, Mar the Prince, if you're having good results, go for it. If you need a victory, just pick Hrgovic on the money line. It just depends where you are, guys, with your bankroll. It depends where you are with why you're putting money on the fights. I'm more or less an entertainment bettor. I've always been an entertainment bettor. I'll sprinkle something on the fights to be entertained, and it keeps me locked in. But there's professional bettors here, and then our styles are going to be different. And I'm sure there's bettors on the chat who don't want to admit it that probably have issues with gambling, and they're chasing their losses. So you never want to chase. You never want to bet out of desperation. You never want to bet over your bankroll. If you're not, like I always say, if you're watching and you're not having fun, and if you're watching a fight, guys, and your fighter loses and you're swearing at him and you're dropping F-bombs and you're not talking to your girl, you're pissed off, you got an issue. That's a problem. I mean, nobody likes to lose, but there are warning signs if something is getting out of control. Just keep that in mind. Our mental health is key here. That's why getting a victory is key, because even if it's $10 to win $40, that we're walking around here confident, strutting. We got to get a victory. So first and foremost, let's get that dub. How does Moses do it against someone like Triple D? I think he bullies him. I think you have to get into Dubois' grill early. I think we've seen it. We've seen Dubois here. You get in that grill early, and Moses. That's an interesting matchup. History Vault. Do you have a pick for Canelo Crawford? Yeah, I do, but I'm not telling you yet. History. I'm not telling you. It's soon enough. It's coming. Canelo versus Crawford is coming. Yeah, I just rewatched Canelo versus Arislandi Lara, and it's weird. So I haven't watched. Lara and Canelo fought years ago. For some reason, I thought when I watched it that Lara won, but then when I rewatched it, Canelo won that fight. Lara moved around. Lara didn't stand his. The thing why I think when you rewatch Lara versus Canelo, different generation. I mean, Canelo was super young, but there's this weird narrative that goes around that saying Canelo lost to Lara. No, he didn't. Rewatch it. Lara didn't want to stand his ground, and I think with Crawford and Canelo, people are saying that if Crawford stands his ground, he's going to get stopped. It is really, 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 really hard for me to get past the size. And people are like, oh, they walk around at the same weight. Guys, have you ever hiked up a hill with a backpack? Have you ever done rucksacking? You might call it something different depending where you are. But, for a few years, one of my good buddies, he was a special forces ranger in the United States military, and he'd come down here to Sydney, and we would do these hikes. And but we're both really fit. We'd wear these backpacks with weights in them, and we would do our hikes and we would do our static cardio with this sort of added force. And so me with that backpack on is different, obviously, me without that backpack on. Canelo's never had a fight per se with a backpack on. You know what I'm saying? So his vehicle, his car is used to a certain output and energy expenditure. His recovery between rounds, his heartbeat, how our resting heart rate is being elevated, is used to a specific recovery pattern. Now, Bud has never really, I mean, how many times did he fight at 47? How many times did he fight at 54? This has to be spoken about. Obviously, he started at 135. The way the heart works, the way our central nervous system works, our energy expenditure, whenever we're being, pushing ourselves, either cardio, either, you're either going to have a aerobic or anaerobic output. Aerobic is obviously no external force. Anaerobic would be adding some sort of external force. When you're at 168, it's just going to be, it's not just who's tougher. It's not just Bud looks good at this weight. Bud's going to have more. There's a lot of things that are going on within our system as well, our body, our musculoskeletal system, that you have to take into consideration what's happening there. And it's hard for me to get past that in terms of siding with Crawford, even though he's one of my favorite fighters. So we'll see. We'll see. That's not my. I'm just letting you guys know how I've been looking at this fight. Brandon says, I've had parlays with Canelo winning for almost a month now. I'm very confident because of him being. And Brandon, people try to dispel that's not an issue. So in our boxing group on Facebook, we have about 37,000 followers on Facebook. Johnny Says Boxing. There's a lot of Bud Crawford fans who share their content. So if you guys are fighters, if you guys are content creators, by the way, go to Facebook, follow that page, and you can share all your stuff in there. It's it's wild. It's an ecosystem of content. And I'm seeing a lot of the Bud Crawford guys. These are loyalists. These are Bud loyalists from Omaha. These are some of his relatives. They're sharing a lot of before and after, what Bud was at 35, what he looks like now. And they're just picking their pick on, the idea that Canelo is shot, the idea that the Canelo versus Skull wasn't an abomination, that is who Canelo is now, and that Crawford at 168 is going to be this well-oiled machine. I mean, did he struggle at 54 with Madrimov? A little bit. He didn't whitewash Madrimov. I had Bud winning. When I scored it and I said Bud won 8, I had Bud winning 8-4. People thought that was controversial. People were like, there's no way he won 8 rounds. So I'm not saying he didn't look good against Madrimov at 154. And I'm also not saying Madrimov isn't a super awkward guy to prepare for. Madrimov is a guy who wastes so much. Herky-jerky feints without throwing, jumping in and out without throwing, showing you things. That's exhausting in itself. I had, Bud won a decision. That was at 154. He skips 160, 6 pounds. This isn't Sam Goodman fighting Nick Ball going from 122 to 126. Not a big jump. 154 to 160 is 6 pounds. You guys know how to do simple math. 154 to 168, 14 pounds. He only fought at 154 once. 147 to 168, 21 pounds. Guys, 21 pounds. So you're talking about 21 pounds throwing the jab, 21 pounds slipping, 21 pounds circling, 21 pounds throwing your right hand, 21 pounds getting hit with another guy. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And hats off, dare to be great sort of thing. I like the Bud and Canelo conversation. That's going to be a fun breakdown. 100%. TJ, 100%. I had it 7-5 Bud versus Madrimov. I could see 8-4. Yeah, Bud's class late separated him. It was close in the middle. Bud was struggling with when Madrimov was committing to that leap in counter. Madrimov was leaping in and landing that hook, leaping in and landing his backhand. But it was in those later rounds where You got to see Bud's class, his fight IQ, his generalship. And it wasn't that Madrimov was second guessing himself in those later rounds. It was just Bud was able to control where the fight was taking place. And Bud didn't fade. It's not like, even if it's 7-5, it's not like it was a 7-5 outcome and Crawford faded late and the young lion was coming on. No, it wasn't that. Bud was actually doing the better work late. Crawford is just a person not to bet against. I believe the 1.5 knockdown is the way to go. But at the end of the day, Bud cannot bully Canelo at that. He will get hurt. Bud gets hurt, you got to get it back. Yeah, ego is a real thing. I fully expect Canelo to fight Bud's ego. I got to be honest with you. I fully expect Canelo and Bud. I think it's actually going to be a more entertaining. People are trying. I've seen in certain forums people talking about it's not going to be an entertaining fight. I think it's going to be super entertaining based off of their pride, both guys. I mean, could you imagine seeing a Canelo who's backing up or seeing a Canelo who's using his lateral movement? I mean, or seeing Bud run. I can't envision a Bud Crawford with all he's done. Think about all those years where he wasn't getting his fights. Think about all those years where nobody would really market or promote him. Think about all those years when he would win fights and he'd grab the mic and he'd be so mean. He still has that about him. He's mean, which is so endearing to fight fans. That's why, dude, how do you not love Bud Crawford, how he goes about his business? But, like I said, going into the EJ fight, I was a fan of Errol Spence. I was going for Errol Spence, but I bet on Crawford. I picked Crawford in my breakdown to beat EJ. I was right. This is kind of like the opposite. I'm a Crawford fan. I'm not really a Canelo fan. You know what I'm saying? I've watched Canelo's entire career, but, for whatever reason, there's some obvious ones. Maybe Canelo Alvarez, as a young kid, I wouldn't have had a poster on the wall. Crawford, though, maybe it's because I grew up in the Midwest. Crawford grew up in the Midwest. I went to my first boxing gym as a 7-year-old. I was, just being mean. It's that mindset Crawford has that's super endearing to me. Boxing fan with the tip. My man, boy. If you appreciate Johnny's boxing knowledge, show some support. Appreciate you, man. The tips go a long way. Little victories for us. The channel's growing. We got some heavy hitters in here. We're approaching an hour. 51 in the house. 34 liking. I like those numbers. Johnny, are you a lock on ball? I am. Mar, I'm locking in ball, baby. I keep seeing takes in favor of Goodman. Yeah. And Mar, you're a loyal fan of the show. I remember I haven't seen you here. You've been busy all week, but if you remember last week, Mar, I was taking Goodman until I deep dove all the tape. Until I deep dove, you do the deep dive, you look at strengths and weaknesses. I just don't see the biggest thing for me. I can't get past Goodman's lack of power, guys. I can't get past his lack of, and it's not even, he doesn't need one punch knockout power. He doesn't have the type of power to get his opponent's respect on the front foot. He does have a good jab. And, also, when you look at his physique, he looks a lot taller than he is. He's all torso. He's only 5'6", all torso. Why I say that is I think Ball's going to break him down to the body. I think he's going to make him uncomfortable. Neither guy is a massive body puncher, but when you look at Nick Ball, how would you take the wheels off of a guy who's a pressure forward fighter like Nick Ball is? A, you use your power. Well, Goodman doesn't have it. Second plan, you'd have to use your timing and maybe break the wheels down with body shots. Nick Ball doesn't have a body. He's literally like a Ninja Turtle. He's like, how do you even hit him in the body? You know what I mean? He's super short. I can't see a path to victory for Sammy Goodman. I'm going for him. I hope Goodman wins, but my money's on Nick Ball. That's all I could say. What's up? You got Starling or Shinner on the Pro Box card. I'm not getting options on that, Blue. I don't see it on my bet. And, it's not that I'm aware of the fight, but because of what we do on YouTube and in the Discord, I can only focus on fights that I'm getting options on. So if you want me to give you my take, give me a day or so, and I'll give you a take. And you know what? Tag me in the Discord, Blue Collar, and we could talk about it in a separate chat in the Discord. Mark Vasquez, EV44 Saul photo. The Bud drop back down to 148. Photo was probably fake, but I think he wants to go on light-footed. Nah, there's no way. That's fake, guys. There's no way Bud dropped the 48. Yeah, same. Bud's, I heard, see, if you follow, I follow his strength and conditioning coach. So everything I've seen from his strength and conditioning coach, his name is, and then also he has a Aspects Photography. He has a guy who follows him around with the camera. I follow on Instagram, Aspects. What's his, I keep forgetting his strength coach name. He's not at 148. I was thinking TJ, he might even be big. He's looking, yeah, maybe 180, 185. When you're looking at like how thick a guy is in the torso, you know what I mean? Also, you guys have to remember, he doesn't have the biggest neck. You know, the neck is one of these things that, you know, you could grow from deadlifting and doing trap bar deadlifts and squatting. But that's a musculature that builds with your body weight and frame. Because Bud doesn't have, and what's the neck? Why is the neck important, right? Punch resistance. Being able to take a shot. Canelo got a neck, dude. Canelo could take, we've seen Canelo get hit with big shots. Canelo could take a shot. And, you know, up until this stage, we haven't seen him truly get hurt. TJ, I will say Bud gaining weight isn't going to give him it. Same. I agree with that, because what do we know historically in the lower weight classes? Bud is a, you know, slick, smooth, fast, high fight IQ, could crack. He's a dog. I think right now Bud's ego, his willingness will probably be his undoing. That's all I'm saying. That's what I could definitely see happening. And I also think would be super ill-advised to judge Canelo off of the Skull performance. It's wild for me to hear these boxing experts on YouTube saying that the version of Canelo who fought Skull is who he is now. What are you guys talking about, dude? The version of Canelo who fought Skull is the version of Canelo who knew that Bud was on the forefront, who knew that he could get through Skull without taking any damage. He didn't even get touched. Why would he have to engage with a guy when he knows he's the A-side? Skull's not going to put him in danger. He could get through this guy, become undisputed again, take Skull's IBF belt, not get touched, and then fight Crawford 100%. Cloud says, should we gauge Ball versus Goodman off Ball versus Ford? No, because both guys are different. Raymond Ford's a different guy since that fight. In my opinion, Goodman's win over Reese Aleem is underrated. I was at that fight, and nobody talks about that fight. But TJ, Goodman's win against, TJ Doheny is a good win. TJ Doheny is a former world champion. He's a tough guy. TJ was having some good exchanges with Inoue until he injured his lower back. I think that fight was in the mid, I think, when did TJ, was it the 7th where he hurt his back? But it's not like Goodman doesn't have any names on his resume. Goodman's a good boxer, guys. Like I said, he's not a big dude. He doesn't look sturdy. Now, I don't know, I can't find footage. I know, I don't remember Goodman getting dropped. Maybe he got dropped early days. So, and he's tough. Everything you're going to hear about, if you watch Goodman give an interview, you're going to love the kid. Super gritty, super hard-nosed. He's, he believes what he says, too. He's not just talking, he's just not talking chat. He thinks he's going to go in there and stop Nick Ball. And it's admirable. He's a really, he has a cheering, dude, he has a whole town, the Mad Bunch, who follow him to every fight. He's very sort of likable, too. Mr. Reed, Nick Ball fight, 10.5 rounds, my best bet. Let's get after it. Blue collar living. That photo was a troll photo. TJ photoshopped it. The original photo says 188. That's what I said. One of the boys said 148. TJ said 180. I was thinking before this chat, Bud looked around 185 to me based off of the footage his strength coach always shares when they're doing their strength and conditioning, when they're doing their deadlifts, when they're doing their, sort of stationary isolated work movement. You can really see the muscles and how the body, the blood work blows, when you swell up. He was looking, because what is Bud, like 5'8"? I'm 5'11". I walk around at like 185, and I'm 43. I think Bud's 37. So when I'm doing like a gait, and I'm a strength coach, so I've been coaching over a decade. One of the things I use as a coach is you develop a good gauge on how much somebody weighs. So Bud to me looks between 180 and 185. TJ Skull is so much different, just like Majram, so much different. Exactly. And TJ, I bring that up to dispel these sort of narratives going around on YouTube that Canelo's washed. I definitely don't think Canelo's washed. Canelo barely tried on purpose. I totally see with Brandon. I agree with this take. Eddie said in between rounds, only 1 or 2 at a time, nothing excessive. Which Ninja Turtle is ball? That is the question, my friend. We could just do a whole live about the Ninja Turtles, but I don't want to digress. Lines are horrible for Ball Goodman. Unless history, you take Ball. Well, they're not horrible if you'd like Goodman by upset, actually. I can see the Ball Goodman being a draw. Sprinkle, Sal. Sprinkle. Carlos Vargas in the house. Haven't seen you a bit. CeeLos, I see you. Checking in. Best channel in boxing. Appreciate the support, boys. Let's stop giving Canelo excuses. He's looking progressively worse each fight and going around ducking Benavidez. Someone had to say it, Jazz. I got to be honest with you, hot take. I was never really excited about Benavidez versus Canelo. Dude, David Benavidez walks around at like 225 pounds, maybe bigger. We know the story about Benny when he was younger, weighing like 280 pounds as a 14-year-old. Benny's a big dude. Canelo is small. He's not a big dude. Canelo's been in the game, turned pro as a teenager. I think Canelo's listed at, 5'7"? So the idea that he's ducking, call it what you will. I don't want to see a 5'7", 5'8" guy who doesn't cut a lot of weight fighting a 6'2", 6'3" young guy who walks around at like 230. Like, what are we doing here? That fight never excited me. And I don't have either, maybe because I don't have either horse in the race. I'm not a big Canelo guy. I'm not a big Benavidez guy. So it's not, but I'm not a big, I don't cheer for one boxer is my point. I'm a fan of the sport. So when everybody to this day is calling him a duck because he didn't fight Benavidez, maybe he's a duck, but I don't, was the hype around Canelo fighting Benavidez because so many Canelo haters wanted to see him get knocked out? Is that why you wanted to see the fight? But I don't know, man. The fight never excited me. That's just me. Randall Light just added the 15th fight odds to the Discord. Nice, Rando. Muscle Brown tapping in. We got Muscles in the house. We got TJ in the house. All the boys. Boxing fans keeping it gangster. Mar the Prince. What do you think about Ituamo 1 through 6? That's the question of the day. That's the question of the day, Mar the Prince. Ituano on the money line is one of my locks. It just depends on how sexy you want to get. How do you see it going? History Vault. Goodman money line. Fuck the fight. Going the distance. That's it. But distance is risky as well. Yeah. So history. If you're betting odds, that would be the value bet on Goodman Ball. On this platform, excuse me, still battling a cold. I have to pick what I'm picking wins, and I initially had Sammy winning, but like I've been saying all week, after watching the tape, stylistically, I just don't see him being able to keep ball off of him. Brandon, we're gonna eat. Yes, we are. Blue collar, what's up? The only thing with that is Canelo fought Callum, which is slightly taller, just as big as Benny. If you could fight Callum, I get that. And then he went up to light heavy to fight Bivol. I get it. Mike, follow Mike TV. Got a fight coming up. Mike, Gary gave you a shout out. He told you if you didn't message Gary from 3D, message him, man. He's been trying to get a hold of you. I want a WBC to enforce. True? No. Now, look, from a rules perspective, from sanctioning, Tito, I agree with you. Canelo and Benavidez, I agree with you. Heaven sent, what's up? Johnny now is me looking at my parlays with Sam winning. Dude, I'm not selling you guys on anything, boys. I'm sure there's guys out there who do what I do who are going to sit on a high horse and tell you, you better do this or you're not going to win. No, I'm not selling you on anything. Nobody's 100% right. I initially had Sam Goodman. I'm going for Sam Goodman. I want Sam Goodman to win, but my money is on Nick Ball based off of what I see when I watch them fight. That's it. Yeah, the comparison, TJ, is pretty insane. I was going to leave that up to the chat, so my man bringing that up is, yeah, Callum and David, come on. David's a goddamn animal, dude. David is what, 27 now? Still only 27. Guys, there's a story. So, you guys know me enough to know that, I grew up with Kelly. So, when Pavlik left Southside Boxing in Youngstown, so Kelly fought his entire career with Jack Lowe, who still runs Southside Boxing in Youngstown. When Kelly left, I think it might have been for the Gary Lockett fight, maybe a couple fights before that. He goes out west to California and he starts training with, I think it was RGBA. He started training with Garcia, and he sparred a 15-year-old David Benavidez. And this is Kelly, middleweight champion. Pavlik, one of the biggest, punchers in middleweight in his era, retires 40-2, 34 knockouts. Ask Kelly about how hard Benavidez hit when he was 15. Dude, Benavidez could crack. He's a big dude too. Tito, Ball's gonna do too much. I think so. To put an exclamation point, I'm uploading my breakdown, by the way, of Ball Goodman. You guys already know where I'm going with. You mix Nick Ball's pressure, his volume, his awkward style, call it dirty, call it what you will, and Goodman's lack of respected power, meaning that some guys, you don't need one-punch knockout power to dictate where a fight takes place. Sometimes you just need enough power to have your opponent second guess or be a little less willing to attack the front foot game plan. Goodman does not have that. Goodman doesn't have anything coming back, in my opinion, to make Nick Ball have to deviate. And the thing is, I don't think Nick Ball is good enough to deviate from a plan A. So I'm not saying Nick Ball is invincible. I'm just saying that Sam Goodman, in my opinion, isn't the guy to beat Nick Ball. But there's definitely guys at 26. Like, I think one of my favorite guy is, I think Rafa Espinosa stops Nick Ball. I think Rafa Espinosa, obviously with his length, his jab, his power, his willingness to engage in the pocket, his uppercuts which come at an awkward angle, him being 6'1", punching down like this, that's the type of power that makes a guy like Nick Ball deviate from his game plan. I don't think Nick Ball has enough skills or tools in his toolbox to be able to deviate to a plan B. I don't think Sam Goodman has the offense in his arsenal to make Nick Ball deviate from plan A to plan B, and that's just what I'm seeing. Now, I also think where I'm struggling with, I think Goodman is good enough to not get stopped. I think Sammy Boy is a good boxer. He's a smooth operator. He was ranked number 1 at 122 for a reason, number 1 contender to fight Inoue. So, freak show. All right, guys, I got to lock it up. It's 7:40 a.m. my time. It's Thursday morning, 7:40 a.m. I'm uploading Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman, my Stats Don't Lie video. You can see it. I'm going live again in a couple hours. We got fights tomorrow, guys. So there's a fight in China between Can Xu, C-A-N-X-U, versus a French fighter. Let me know if you guys get that options. I appreciate the support. Let's get after it. TJ says Espinosa is easily top 126. Nick Ball isn't be legit. Yeah. Agree. Scooter. Peace. All right, nephew.